The stone heated in Inona's hand as the man's magic hit her shields, identifying him as her target. Glaring at his back as he strode away, she muttered a curse. Oh, she'd found her exile all right, casually using his magic on others. Coric wouldn't have let that stand. Delbin might have gone renegade in the couple of years since his last check, she supposed, but there'd been no indication from Coric that Delbin was at risk of such behavior. Could it have been a fluke? Inona forced an easy expression across her face and ambled along the aisle, pretending interest in the booths and rides she passed. She didn't need to follow her prey too closely, not with the tracking stone. If he realized that she'd been sent to check on him and tried to leave, she'd know. As fit as he clearly was, he couldn't outrun her. And she wasn't forbidden from using magic against him so long as the humans didn't notice. At the far end of the midway, he ducked into a large tent set over to the side. Trying to blend in while she watched for him, Inona purchased one of the colorful, fluff-topped cones. Then she settled at a nearby table and examined the odd treat. Most of the people she'd seen had picked small pieces off the top to eat, so she did the same. Inona gasped as sweetness burst across her tongue. Gods, too much! She swallowed hard, her eyes watering, and wished devoutly for something to drink. Ale. Anything. Had the humans extracted the very nectar of the plants and condensed it into this? She glanced around for a garbage can. Humans might give this stuff to children, but she didn't have to eat it. So much for blending in. As Inona tossed the blue nectar fuzz into a partially filled can, an odd shiver traced through her. She stilled, trying to identify the source. Her shielding was intact, and when she took a cautious glance around, she saw nothing but the human crowd. Yet the air vibrated with a sudden charge, a dark energy wafting around her from a point beyond the large tent. Not Delbin. The tendril of power he'd sent her way hadn't felt anything like this. Swallowing hard, Inona grasped the hilt of her knife once more. She gathered her power, glanced around to make sure no one was watching, and cast a simple camouflage spell. It wouldn't hide her for long from the person wielding such dark magic, but it allowed her to creep around the edge of the stall next to the tent without being seen by humans. She hoped.
Delbin tossed a wave over his shoulder and pulled open the back entrance to the staff tent. He peeked out the front, only to find the woman throwing a ball of cotton candy into the trash. Her continued presence could be a coincidence, but he wasn't betting on it. Good thing there was more than one way in. The corner of his mouth tipped up as he secured the flap shut and turned toward the row of travel trailers at the back edge of the field, only to stop short at the sight of the man leaning on a tree a few paces away, the same guy he'd seen earlier. Oh, shit. Delbin halted, barely managing to suppress a shudder as a wave of dark energy pulsed from the other elf. For elf he was, making no attempt to hide the points of his ears beneath his long black hair. He hadn't appeared to notice Delbin before, but clearly he had. The elf smiled widely as he strode forward. "What a pleasure to see one of my brethren," the stranger said, his voice smooth and pleasant, at least on the surface. "Might I have the honor of an introduction?" Every hair on Delbin's body rose, despite the surface courtesy of the request. Something was wrong here, very wrong. Non-humans traveling or living on Earth almost universally kept a low profile. Even now, only a handful of Fae worked at Grunge's fair, and none of them were open about it to humans. This was far from normal. "I could ask the same. Fair patrons are not..."